Assalamualaikum and very good evening to ladies and gentlemen. Okay, welcome to the evening forum of today. First and foremost, I would like to thank all the audience attending the forum for today. My name is Nur Sabrina binti Ahmad and I am your moderator for today's forum. Okay, our topic of discussion for today is the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic on various sectors in Malaysia. Okay, before we begin, I would like to introduce our panels for this evening. Okay, we have Dr. Inshira. Okay, she is a psychologist that is currently working in Kim and Kids Petaling Jaya Therapy Center. Okay, hi Dr. Inshira.
Hello.
And then we have Miss Faniza, who is a business owner running multiple ventures, both locally and globally. Okay, hi Miss Faniza. Okay, and next to her, we have Dr. Amira, a doctor from Selayang Hospital that actively participated as the frontliner in dealing with the critical COVID-19 cases. Okay, hi Dr. Amira.
Hello.
And then we have the very experienced maritime officer, Captain Faizi. Hi, Captain Faizi.
Hi.
Welcome to our forum today. Okay. As we all know, the current enforcement of the Movement Control Order (MCO) due to the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted various sectors in the country. Okay. The new normal due to the pandemic has brought about new changes in how various sectors are functioning and coping with the new settings. Firstly, I would like to call upon Dr. Inshira to talk about the impact of the MCO on children, especially those who belong to a specific group and their families.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Sabrina. So, in today's topic, I would like to focus more on how the pandemic of COVID-19 has impacted vulnerable families and children, such as children that comes from low income household or children that comes from indigenous families. So, an advocacy NGO working on domestic violence and child protection has recorded that 15 child sexual abuse um, reported during MCO between March and May. So between June and August, the statistics showed that the number doubled up to 33 cases, and this figure remained consistent until September and November 2020. So, referring to the statistic, it is clear that one of the impacts of COVID-19 is the increased abuse against children, physically and sexually. So, there is higher risk and abuse and neglect towards children due to confining in a small space and limited outlets to reduce tension during MCO period. So, several violence cases against children actually have not been reported, and due to the lack of knowledge on reporting child protection issues and lack of evidence on the level of abuse towards these victims. Okay, my next point would be based on dealing with my own patients. The pandemic of COVID-19 has triggered their mental health conditions and worsened existing ones such as anxiety, depression, insomnia, and others. So this could happen to anyone, including the parents and also the children. So during the pandemic, usually parents could become more stressed out, depressed, or even suicidal because they were unable to provide for the well-being of their children. So for the children, there is a study that proved how stress on children may be intensified based on the parents' way of handling their emotions and also issues. This actually shows that problems like family stress, confinement at home, financial losses suffered by the parents could cause children to feel unhappy and worried for them. Okay, my last point would be about the education system that has been shifted to online schooling. So, in many rural areas, some children are falling behind with their studies because they do not have the access to the internet also and also device. As a result, schooling was cut out for some of them that live in the villages. So several refugee children, which are like those without documentation or those that come from migrant families, unfortunately do not resume their studies even after the MCO was lifted. So this is because they could not afford to pay the minimal fees to attend private schools. So to conclude, I would like to express my opinion that all children should not feel or experience being neglected or abused. They have the rights to get proper care, safety, and also proper education. The issues should be made of in the public eye. So that is all my points are.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Inshira, for the very informative speech. Okay, next, I would like to invite Ms. Praniza to elaborate more on the effects of the MCO on the business environment in Malaysia.
Okay. Thank you to our moderator, Ms. Sabrina. The words pandemic of coronavirus disease 2019, COVID-19 are now a familiar terms for Malaysian, even around the world. Today, I will elaborate and share with more detail on the impact of this crisis to the small business. Firstly, as I involved in this business sector, I also feel affected with the impact during the crisis COVID-19 because of many changes on employment landscape in the new norm. The impact of MCO that had caused the operational of the small business to permanently, temporarily close or stay operational are depending on the business sector. So that the tourism, restaurant, and personal service industry sector are the worst affected sector if the crisis continues, and it is also affected the national economy because the sector also contribute revenue to our country. Meanwhile, it is reported that banking and finance, real estate, and professional service will be able to weather extended disruption far better than this more exposed sector. Moreover, many small businesses are financially fragile. The firm did not have cash on hand to meet their regular expenses. This limited level of cash on hand helped to shed light on why layout and shutdown were so prevalent. The firm that had little cash on hand toward the beginning of the pandemic, which means that they will either must dramatically cut their expenses, take on additional debt, or declare bankrupts. Thus, the government needs to increase the amount of aid allocation in ensuring all the business get the benefit through the program. At least with the kind of aid can help the business owner to pay for payroll costs, interest on mortgage, rent, and utilities. It is assumed that the total demand for aid may be ultimately be even higher under an extended crisis. That's all for my point on this topic. I hope it can give clear picture, better understanding on our current crisis that we have faced at this time.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Praniza, for the interesting speech and enlightening us regarding the impact of the pandemic on various business sectors and also about the incentives from the government. Okay, next, allow me to invite Dr. Amira, a doctor from the Selayang Hospital, to further educate us on how the health sector has been impacted by the pandemic. So Dr. Amira has been the forefront of the COVID-19 battle and is very experienced in this area.
Thank you, Ms. Sabrina, our moderator for this panel that we can discuss with everyone today. I am here to address on the impact of the pandemic on healthcare providers, on how technology has made way for new opportunities for the consumers and providers. As a first point, Malaysia's healthcare industry is one of the biggest economic contributors with the goal of bringing prosperity and welfare for the people. During the pandemic, however, us frontliners lacked temporal lodgings and quarantine wards to hold the increasing number of patients. Technology brings up different items that we could use to care for our patients. And the more advances in this technology will bring more opportunities for both patients to survive and increase the welfare of the people in this country. As such, we could contact owners of general use halls, hotels, and even other large spaces that could cooperate with being temporary lodgings and also quarantine wards. Another point in case is the adaptation of healthcare providers with the internet boom. Technology advances touch upon enhance the care we could use to treat our clients with the best treatment current advancement could provide during the current age. We use the technology for an online contact, scheduling appointments, and emergency calls in the hopes of connecting more for the people. Such emergency cases could be helped with a brief time, scheduling an ambulance during calls, specifying the paramedics to accommodate patients and calming the guardians of the patient. Hospitals could also pinpoint and locate patients whose homes are far and even estimate the time of arrival with new age instruments provided for the populace. Furthermore, connectivity between the people and hospitals and clinics are assumed it it increases the contact on healthcare facilities to have a tight knit relationship with one another. This includes other hospitals, suppliers, clinics, and even patients that are within the area. Certain cases that clinics are not technologically adept to handle could be transferred by a mere phone call or an email with the details of the case. This also means that a support system which strengthen each other's dependencies, share knowledge and expertise in real time is in a cost-effective method. In conclusion, the technology provided connectivity between the people, advancement in healthcare facilities, and even helping rescues. Thank you for listening to my points.
Okay, thank you, Doctor, for the educational speech on the effects of COVID-19 on the country's health sector. Okay, let me introduce our final panelist for today, Captain Faizi, an experienced maritime officer who has worked closely with the Ministry of Transport in mitigating the issues regarding the maritime sector during the pandemic.
Okay, thank you for our moderators. First and foremost, as our moderator stated, I have worked as a maritime officer for nearly 3 years and totally agree that the pandemic was the most difficult time in the maritime sector. So today I'm going to address the major effect of the pandemic on the maritime sector. Firstly, let me define first the maritime industry. The maritime industry is defined as a waterborne commerce that involves the transportation of people and goods across water. And maritime refer to anything that has to do with the sea or waterway around the world, particularly navigation, shipping, and marine engineering. Much of our life are affected by this industry, such as the oil that run our car, our electronic, the coffee we drink, the meal we consume, and the clothes we wear. All of it come from the overseas. So what is the most crucial impact that has occurred in this industry? It starts with the shipping industry. In terms of expansion of fleet developments, the COVID-19 epidemic has had an impact on the global maritime firm and market. The country isolation caused a reduction in the demand across the board, causing the transportation network in the marine sector, particularly the port and shipping sector, to be disrupted. Second, during the pandemic, oil and gas are also being impacted. Automobiles, industrial activities, shipping, and transportation have all dropped drastically since MCO was implemented. Also, lack of physical demand for crude oil quickly result in the decrease of oil price. The third sector was the fishery sectors, which saw a record loss in earning from fish and fishery goods export to other countries, as well as supply interruption from import fish and fishery product due to border control. The fourth and final sector to suffer a negative impact was maritime tourism. As we all know, the Visit Malaysia 2020 campaigns aim to promote Malaysia as one of the best destinations to visit. But since the pandemic happened, All explanations have been ruined. The Malaysian Hotel Association chief executive officer claimed that more than 60% of businesses suffer loss, and wage cut and unpaid leave were implemented to help companies survive the pandemic. So finally, as a result of all this, the Malaysian government has introduced the economic stimulus package to help individual and the business that are affected by the COVID-19 pandemics. The three major goal of the stimulus package are to protect the country, support businesses, and build the economy. For example, the government has set aside RM 40 millions to let Fisher sell their products directly to consumer, and RM 500 millions for travel discount coupon. So that's all for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Captain Faizi, for the vast information shared regarding the impacts of the pandemic on the maritime sector and clarifying many issues regarding the tourism sector as well. Now, we have a question and answer session between the panelists. Here you can ask the opinions, or if you have something to disagree between the panelists. So I think we can start with Dr. Inshira.
All right. I do have a question to ask Miss Amira. So since both of us are in medical field, I am actually very curious about your opinion regarding my statement. Could you tell me your opinion about it?
Thank you for the question, Miss Inshira. I understand your stand in helping the less fortunate, especially the children that are affected by the blight. During the pandemic, many different sectors suffered from the lack of clientele. As such, even healthcare providers have an unfortunate time as we got more patients that we could attend to a given time. Sacrifices must be made to provide for the best outcome for both participants. As such, most people of such backgrounds are helped by volunteers of a medical background, like a Malaysian Red Crescent Society that has been providing their services for years. It is also a difficult decision as a doctor, as we provide our aid to help whoever we can, especially during hard times like a pandemic. Though, as a doctor, I believe that to help others, we need to help ourselves first.
All right. I fully understand your opinion. So regarding your opinion, I do agree that in order to help, to get help from professionals during this time, it is difficult for the medical staff to pay attention to mental health patients. I'm also fully aware that the doctors are also busy to treat COVID-19 patients, as I heard on the news that some doctors are even sleep deprived and their ability to treat patients is impaired. However, I do still think mental health is important um, for everyone. Sadly, mental health patients cannot seek help from private places such as my working place, where it could be expensive for certain patients to afford for continuous session with professional therapists. Since we are talking about mental health right now, I do want to touch upon Ms. Faniza's statement where she mentioned that there are many changes in employment and many small businesses that are financially fragile. As mentioned by Captain Faizi too, to help these businesses to survive, wage cuts and unpaid leave were implemented. I personally think that this economic issue is correlated to mental health among citizens. So there is a study that is conducted by UNICEF and UNFPA that Malaysian B40 families were more likely to be affected as they were more vulnerable to job loss. So 1 in 4 heads of households living in low-cost flats were unemployed during MCO period, which was higher than the previous year and also 5 times higher than the national average. So by that, I do strongly agree and believe that these are the reasons that trigger people to become stressed after losing the only source of income that they have due to unemployment and wage cuts. So people's mental health condition will be worse as time goes by if they do not solve their issues, of course, financially and mentally wise. So my suggestion for this mental health problem is that the government health and other authorities should plan, budget, and also prioritize for long-term assistance in areas such as mental illness and also mental health support among citizens. All right, that is all from me.
Okay, I'm also attracted to Captain Faizi's statement regarding the country's isolation cost reduction in demand across the broad, causing transportation network and marine sector, particularly the port and shipping sector, to be disrupted. In your opinion, can you suggest effective action that should be taken to address this issue?
Okay, thank you for the questions. In my opinion, the government should decrease the amount of tax charged to the cargo shipper. As we know, maritime transport is the backbone of global trade, and the most critical consideration when discussing is always the cost. So maritime organizations are motivated to improve the efficiency of their process to save money, and this is particularly when it comes to travel process as a crew travel is a significant spend for most shipping companies. In addition, improving efficient is also a very effective way of reducing human error and mistakes, as an efficient process is more reliable process that encourage more global transactions to grow and rebuild the economy of Malaysia. That's all my opinion.
Okay, I strongly agree with Captain Faizi's opinion that we must take various ways, such as decreasing the amount of tax charged to cargo shipper. It will also help them to minimize the operational cost. But the question remains why the shipping is so expensive. For me, the primary reason for the sudden spike in the price of shipping is the world ongoing, namely COVID-19. The pandemic affected global supply chain in 2020 and shipping price reflect that. With price estimate to remain this level, both e-commerce business and other small business should consider diversifying their fulfillment option to reduce shipping costs in the near terms. From Dr. Inshira's statement also on the financial loss suffered by the parent could cause children to feel unhappy and worried. I also felt that the parent who had lost their job during the crisis because of the closure in some business sector, it is hardest time for them to maintain their financial situation, and at the same time, they have to control the emotion toward their children. That's all from me.
I also have a question for Ms. Faniza, since you are involved with the business sector. What's your opinion on the stimulus package that the government has given to help with businesses affected by the COVID-19 pandemic?
Okay, for me, the government had announced the Prihatin Rakyat or Prihatin Economic Stimulus Package amounting to 115 billion, which will benefit all of us. Of this amount, almost 128 billion was channeled to protect the welfare of the people, 100 billion to support business activity, including small and medium business, medium enterprise, SMEs, and 2 billion to strengthen the country economy to assist small and medium enterprise, including micro entrepreneurs. The government and the Bank Negara Malaysia had provided an additional amount amounting 4.5 billion, covering 5 key initiatives. For the first key, there is adding fund in the special relief facility fund for SMEs by 3 billion, bringing the total to 5 billion. In additional, the interest rate for the entire fund will be reduced from 3.75% to 3.5%. Second is they increase the funds size by 1 billion to 6.88 billion under the economy sector facilities to further increase access to financing for SMEs. Third is provide additional fund 500 million under the microcredit scheme, which bring the total to 700 million for easy financing. The scheme will be operated by Bank Simpanan Nasional by offering an interest rate of only 2% without collateral. The fourth is SME with a business record of less than 4 years can also avail of the BIS Mula I and BIS Wanita I Syarikat Jaminan Kredit Malaysia Berhad CGC scheme for financing up to 300,000. Fifth is the Business Financing Guarantee Company, SPJJ, will provide a guarantee facility worth 5 billion beside increasing the guarantee rate from 70% to 80% for SMEs that have difficulty obtaining loans. So I think the financial institution will continue to provide strong support to viable SMEs, especially to face current economic challenge. That's all from me.
Okay, I agree with Ms. Faniza's opinions. This is because with the financial aid from the governments, businesses will be able to recover from the crisis by increasing their capital and allocating it toward the critical sector to rebuild the business. As an example, businesses will be able to create a new product lines or hire professional workers to aid the developments of innovations that could help bring benefit to the community and counter the pandemics. However, we must understand that the sum of the money given by the governments to business is not a whole lot. Therefore, business owner or manager should pay attention to their decision making process that will help to grow the business. That's all for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you to all the panelists for the question and answer session. Okay, to sum up, all the governments, health organizations and other authorities are continuously focusing on identifying the cases affected by the COVID-19. Especially healthcare professionals face lots of difficulties in maintaining the quality of healthcare these days. With the world facing the coronavirus crisis, the pandemic has wreaked havoc and altered human life forever. Its impact and the untoward consequences will be felt long after the virus diminishes. Yet, in time like this, hope is a powerful healer. Mankind stands united in its struggle against the COVID-19 pandemic, and life will surely triumph. I once again would like to thank our panelists for the valuable speech and the audience for joining us this evening. I hope that this forum has given you a much clearer understanding of the current issues pertaining to the impact of COVID-19 on various sectors in Malaysia. Thank you.